Welcome to the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk, the #1 show on ancient coins from the viewpoint of a seasoned professional with over 30 years experience. Now, here's Aaron Berk and Mike Nottleman on the Ancient Coin Podcast.
It is episode 83 of the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk. I'm Mike Nottleman.
I'm Aaron Berk.
And on today's show, we have a very special show for you today. We sat down and talked with the Tyrant and the Tyrant Collection. So
better known as dano'dowd.
Better known as dano'dowd. So we have a full-length, hour-long interview set up for you with Dan. And at the end of it, we're going to give you the contest winners from last week's contest.
That's right.
So Dan's collection is really something impressive. It's something that you probably have seen if you've been to an ANA or a major show. So please do enjoy our interview with dano'dowd from the Tyrant Collection.
Yeah, and it's he probably has the most expensive collection ever. I want to say it's about $1 billion. It's possible.
With a B, yeah.
What he only shows, and he'll let you know in the interview, he only shows collections that he feels are complete. So that goes for his website as well. He has a lot of other collections that no one's ever seen the light of day. The ANA will, in Pittsburgh this year, will have his latest completed collection called the Golden Horn. And so if you're going to be at the ANA between August 25th and the 29th, you should definitely go and see it. It doesn't cost you anything.
Nope.
And it's totally worth seeing these types of coins in person. They're pretty amazing. So
Yeah, the rarity of these coins make them worth seeing all on their own, let alone the rest of the ANA.
And we don't really get the opportunity to talk to a guy like this who, yes, he has all the means in the world that most of us couldn't afford some of these coins, but some of the philosophies are still the same.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter. So it's really interesting to talk. And this guy kept himself a secret for 17 years. It wasn't until, I think, 2022 that he came out and actually...
4 years ago.
Yeah.
And the strategies that he used are here, and he kind of shares some of it with you. So you can pick up a couple
as
of
well
tips
as talking about all his coins. And to my knowledge, this is the only interview he's ever done where he's talked about all of his ancient coins in one sitting. At least the ones that we know about. So anyway, we really hope you enjoy the show and see you on the other side.
We did not do a lot of interviews on this show, but today we are glad to make an exception. We have a real treat for you listeners. We have the owner of the Tyrant Collection. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but dano'dowd is the CEO of Green Hill Software and the owner of the Tyrant Collection. So this collection is widely described as the world's most valuable private rare coin collection. It spans U.S., world, and ancient coinage, and he collected semi-anonymously for 17 years before going public 4 years ago. Dan, welcome to the show. It is a treat to have you on.
Good to be here. Let's have some fun talking about coins.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Get to the fun part.
Okay, so you've been quoted in the past about collecting coins, and I found this quote, which I thought was pretty funny, where you wrote, Bill Gates builds a house, Jeff Bezos builds a yacht, everyone has something they want to do. I really didn't want to buy a yacht because I get seasick. Do you have anything else to add on that? Good. Coins?
I've got wide collecting interests. Coins are the biggest, I think, but I also collect dinosaurs. I've got a T-Rex. I've got a lot of things that have gone to the moon. I've got a lot of space stuff and science books and a lot of different areas that I collect in. But coins was really the original and the biggest, most committed.
So as far as coinage goes, you collect pretty much everything from soup to nuts. Let me ask, what pulled you from U.S. coins into ancient coins?
Yeah, I did U.S. coins, for many years. I mean, I was aware of ancient coins, but sort of really hadn't looked into them at all. But I went to I believe, a Long Beach show, and sort of wandered around, see what's interesting, and I came across the relatively small area of the ancient coin dealers where they were hanging out, and I sort of sat down and said, show me some interesting things, and the person showed me some Roman Aurei, basically gold coins, from first, second century. I looked at them and said, well, they're perfect, right? They're like they were made yesterday. They're mint state. And the designs are way better than things we have today. And just in terms of artistic merit, they were handmade items of art. And so I looked at them like, how much is one of these? Oh, it was maybe a third of what I'd be paying for some US coin that pretty much all look the same and pretty much are for the most part not that good quality, right? They're far more worn. And so I thought that was just really neat. I think I only bought one, but then over the next few times I got invested into these things, I looked at it and said, oh, that's neat. That's neat. And then at some point I actually said, hey, now I'm building a collection. It was sort of unintentional at first, but I found a very nice coins of each of these, early emperors primarily, and then decided I'm going to build a collection of emperors of Rome. And that became it. And it's primarily in gold. There's a few silver coins in there where the gold is simply out of reach or unattainable. But it's basically every emperor for a long time. My sets are long. I always do long sets. So my sets are 2,000 years long, not a dynasty or 100 years or a single design, but literally, every emperor of Rome, every ruler of Rome, all the way up through the popes and everything, starting in, I've got a Flamininus and starting very early in the Roman Republic's coinage and going up until the 20th century.
Harlan likes to really remind us that a lot of the U.S. designs come from ancient coinage. And so it's kind of going back to the source, I think.
Yeah, except that, the American coinage, I mean, it's fun to collect and it's very organized. That's one of the things that you can do. And I'm kind of an organized person. So I only collect where I can find an organizational principle for something, like every Roman emperor. See, that's a sort of every Roman emperor in gold, except when they're not available in gold, and then buy a silver coin. Easy to understand, easy to decide if I'm going to buy this coin. Why am I buying it? Well, it's because I either don't have it or it's better than what I think I have right now. So it's pretty easy to understand it. It's a simple structure. In other areas in ancient coins, they're much less structured. You can't get dates on them. The rulers are sometimes obscure. So I tend to just collect the ones that are well organized. And like the Mediterranean, or not Mediterranean, the Middle East collection, the Euphrates and Tigris collection. There's ancient coins in there. But again, they're well organized by ruler.
Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question already. So you stayed anonymous for 17 years. And my guess is, because I represent a lot of clients in the market, and they want to keep anonymous because they don't want anybody to know what they're collecting, or when they're bidding through me, that it's not one of my biggest clients, so that they'll bid me up. And that way they also keep hidden from the market, and no one takes advantage of them. Is that your feeling as well?
Yeah, that's a principal reason, one of the biggest reasons, that if you're collecting in the area where there aren't a lot of coins, right? I mean, sure, if there's hundreds of coins, they're not going to buy all of the, some particular date or something like that. It's just, that doesn't make any sense. But if you're in a place where there are single coins or two or three known, and people know that you're collecting it and you're committed to it and you have a lot of money, dealers have an advantage over me. I'm not on the floor on day one, of the show. I mean, day -1 in the setup. These guys, I know, they go around and look at everybody else's stuff, right? And they grab it right away if there's something there. So I just don't have that. I can't be there. And so somebody else is going to find it first. If they know I need it, they can just charge whatever price they feel. And you just don't get it. You don't get a fair price. So that's a big thing. Just not let people understand. I've not published my collections until I consider them complete. And completeness is a test, which is if somebody walked up to me tomorrow with an overpriced coin in this set, would I feel I have to buy it? Or would I say, maybe yours is the best, mine's second best, or maybe yours is third best and mine's second best. Maybe it's better than what I have. And you think from some extrapolation of what I paid for the second best or third best coin that you can decide what I'm going to pay for the first best coin. And all that just disappears if they don't know that's what you're doing.
Right.
Because they're confident that you need it. But you have to, so I don't publish the set until I can say that and somebody walks up and they do. I had a set recently where I had one missing piece in the set, and I do have to get that one. I don't want everyone knowing that that's something I need when there's only a handful out there and you'd have no idea when you're ever going to get a chance at one.
So I would largely refer to that as a defensive strategy,
right?
Than anything else. You've had help building these collections. They've been done by some of the biggest names in numismatics. Your long relationship with Ira and Larry Goldberg. There are other people that have helped, including Harlan Berk, our firm here.
Not really, but
oh no, you're right.
JD
Danruther. That was where I was going. So how did you put together your team? What were your qualifications for finding people that were worthy of helping you put together what you needed?
Well, it's different, and I've worked with many different people. Those two are the biggest, clearly. But well, I mean, I think you do. I mean, I can't be an expert in 30 different fields. I mean, that's just, and besides, I have a job, so I can't do that. I've got to have someone to help. So, like, what can they do for you? Do they really know people? Are they really connected? That's what's important. Because they're going to find out these interesting deals, the private backroom deals that never went out. I bought the only King Edward VIII proof set that's available. There's 5 known, one in the British Museum, one in the Royal Mint, one in Buckingham Palace. One was split up into individual pieces in the 1970s, and the 5th one I own. It never went on the market. It's became, quote, available-ish, maybe, possibly, and it took a long time to work through that to get it, but it was critical to get it. Everybody else's English collection is not complete because they can't get an Edward VIII. It used to be you'd say, well, there is no such thing as an Edward VIII, and they're unbuyable, but that's not true anymore. There's one piece in the market, and then there's my set, which is the full set, original full set.
Wow.
So these guys are connected, right? They're connected to people. They find out about deals, that the average person would never find out about. You read about it in the magazine a month or two later about how this happened and that guy bought that from that guy and how the whole complicated thing went together. But some of my more important pieces came through those private channels and not through auctions.
Sometimes it's the only way to find them. So there's an active debate right now about the legalization of ancient coins, the trade of ancient coins from source countries. Do you have a take on this?
And my take is that that what we do here is the right thing, or have traditionally done here on discoveries. In the U.S., it's the landowner, the owner of the property that owns the things that are in the ground. You own the dirt, you own the rocks, you own what's in the ground. We have a very similar issue in fossils, especially very rare fossils.
Meteorites.
And there are solutions, but the idea, which I disagree with strongly, is some countries in ancient countries that had ancient things say, oh, that's ours because it's minted in our mint. Well, it wasn't your mint. It wasn't even, these people didn't even have the same religion. They didn't have the same people at all. You came along and swept into this territory, 500 years ago. So your claim is really weak. Second, just because it's minted somewhere doesn't mean that somebody didn't actually spend it and it went to somewhere else. And then that guy lost it, buried it in the backyard and never came back from the war. And, how do you
claim can't be owed in perpetuity either?
Right. So I have had that. I see this much more in the fossil realm where it's more developed, where people are saying you're taking a national treasure and moving it to another country. I don't go along with that. They say they're lost. Nobody can study them. I say, you want to see my T-Rex? It's available for somebody who wants to study it. I've got my coin collection. I put it out. Sure. Again, I only publish the parts that I think are complete in my sense of complete. Doesn't mean I won't buy another coin for that collection if something comes along. If it's something that is very valuable and fits my goals and isn't at an outrageous price. So I can just walk away if I just think the price is wrong.
Right. Well, plus, gold and silver coins were always treasury coins. And so they were really minted to travel. And also, most gold and silver are not found on sites. They're found on trade routes. So they're not really digging up a site necessarily. It's mostly bronze coins, which were the local currency. So that's my take on that. All right. So anybody who wants to see the Tyrant Collection in what Dan has published, that's the website address. I'll also put it in the description of this show as well. But let's get into it a little bit. So we're going to mainly talk about the ancient coins, and you have it broken into these 4 sections, which I assume has to do with region primarily. And maybe you can give us our take on each one of these areas.
So there's a theme, tyrants of, and you usually have a body of water. So tyrants of the Tiber are the tyrants of the Tiber River, which is where Rome is and where the whole Roman central, but that's not all. It's where it goes on. Ultimately, the popes, have a large state. The papal states is a large area of central Italy. And so the popes are the rulers there. So that's the Tiber River. The Tigris and Euphrates, of course, is where you have Baghdad and Iraq today. The Golden Horn, that's what we're presenting now this year at ANA, and that's Constantinople. Tyrants of the Nile, obviously, is Egypt. There are many more. There are many more that are incomplete collections in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as far as the tyrants of Tigris and Euphrates, one of the most important coins is the Phanes Stater. I know you have the entire set, but I'm happy to have you talk about that as well. But what can you tell us about this coin, the importance of it? I'm pretty sure this one came through my company, actually, because I'm pretty sure I sold this one to Ira, or through Ira to you. But I didn't know you were buying it at the time. So, but what can you tell us about this coin and about the set in particular?
Well, I have a set which is mostly appears in the in this collection, although it's the origin of coinage, and from all the early coins of the globular cluster coins, the striated coins, the geometric coins. Then this, and you can see and collect all the denominations of each of those. So you get a stater and a third stater, and sometimes a half stater and a sixth, and so on down the line. So I have a collection of these deer coins, led by the stater is the largest, but it shows a deer or some elk, I don't know, but but it's clear. And as far as I know, none of the earlier coins have a clear depiction until you get to the Lydian coins. But a clear animal that we can recognize as some kind of deer, and the lettering, which is clear. That's clear ancient Greek lettering, retrograde. Again, the earlier coins, maybe they have one letter on them or something that maybe you could believe might be a legend, but this one is clear. You can tell, you can read it. That's standard ancient
It's the
Greek.
first time a name ever showed up on a coin as well. I am the badge of Phanes, and we don't even know who Phanes was necessarily.
And so this, of course, very rare, and to build the set from all the denominations of all of the different major types, showing the progression from basically nothing, globular cluster, like I don't know what they are, to seeing the striated type, and then you have the lion head coins, and then you have the lion and the bull coins, before you then go off into the Persians. But these are Greek coins.
Okay, so in the Tyrants of the Nile, you have, we've got 4 pretty important coins here. We have the Nektanebo II, the Ptolemy IV, and then we have 2 Cleopatra VII Tetradrachms. The first one on the left is the one with the eagle reverse, which very rare. And then you have the Brutus and Cleopatra, but a very unusual Cleopatra style that what you typically wouldn't see on some of these tetradrachms from this period. You want to go through each one of these coins and tell us how you acquired them and the importance of them to you.
Right. But the Nektanebo II is, of course, a pharaoh. After that, shortly thereafter, the Persians came in and conquered Egypt, and then Alexander came along and conquered them. That's how he ended up with Egypt. So this is a native, I don't know, you can call them real. All the people, there were Persians, and then there were Macedonians, Greeks, who ruled. This guy is from the original pharaohs, Egyptian-based pharaohs, and again, very rare, and it's a nice coin. I don't recall where it came from. I'm pretty sure it came out of an auction, though.
Yeah, I think it's only 2 coins that actually has hieroglyphics on them, which is also very cool.
Yep, from the native branch.
Yep.
The next one, this is Ptolemy IV. The coin is actually minted for Ptolemy V, I believe, who was a child, but this is his father. That's on the coin. It's just Ptolemy IV is the portrait. But in my mind, this is the most beautiful coin of antiquity. I can't see anything close to it. It's huge, and it's an octagram. The Romans never made octagrams. The Greeks ever? I don't know. I can't remember any of other Greek coins. It's a full 15, 16 gram coin. The relief is awesome. I mean, you hardly ever see that kind of relief. It's almost perfect. The coin is almost perfect. And there's nothing like it. And it's hard to find a modern coin that you could say is better than this in terms of they just don't have the relief and the style of this coin. Very, very finely detailed. So I had a chance to buy this at auction. Came up. I put down what I thought was a pretty high number. I got blown out. I didn't get it. So I said, well, it's an Egyptian pharaoh, right? An Egyptian ruler, so that I need him. But there's other Ptolemy IV coins. In fact, I do have another Ptolemy IV, which has Ptolemy IV on it. His own portrait is on the other one. So I don't need it. It's not like I absolutely have to have it. It's just really great. But it always bugged me. I just remembered it. I saw it and just said, this thing is so nice. Then not too long after it, I don't remember how long, but years, but not decades, it came up again. And I said, okay, this time, not going to let it get away. I so much regretted not bidding more the last time. I shouldn't make that mistake again. And that's when I did my research and analyzed it, and that was my conclusion. I said, this is the most beautiful coin of antiquity. This one. I don't know how many there are of this type. I've never seen another one for sale, but it's just big and beautiful and reflective and no marks. It's just a wonderful coin, and well and beautifully.
It's amazing.
And the portrait is great. The relief is high, and there's just so much right about that coin.
Yeah, there's a lot of our Sinuae octadrachms, and they pale in comparison to what this coin looks like.
Right. It came out of that run. I mean, the Egyptians were making these large-sized coins, gold coins, many different rulers. This is the best one.
Mm-hmm.
So Cleopatra. So the one on the right, it's got some deposits and stuff on it. It's otherwise pretty nice, but the key is the opposite is Antony. This is Antony and Cleopatra's coin, and of course they were lovers and got into a big fight with Octavian and ended up losing. But this is their coin. But yeah, she looks kind of stern and matronly on this one. The one on the left is not quite as high quality, but the picture, I mean, that is like awesome. I can see that person. I can tell that's a distinctive person there. But also no ravishing beauty here.
No, she was no Elizabeth Taylor.
The coin on the right, Aaron, is that one that we recently saw here?
Well, we do a lot of Cleopatra, and
there was one
Mark
with Antony on the back,
but this one's a lot prettier than the typical one. So, and I remember seeing the Cleopatra on the left at one of the ANAs when you actually displayed, and this is one of the finest silver tetradrachms I've ever seen.
Right. So all these coins, yeah, we did an Egyptian exhibit.
24.
What?
2024
apparently.
Yeah. I remember seeing it at the ANA. It was amazing.
So now we get to one of my favorite coins, the Eid Mar Denarius.
Yep.
Arguably one of the most famous coins of all time. How important was landing this piece to you personally?
Well, ultimately, I expected I would get one. It's Eid Mar's. I saw a census. I think there were like 60 or 70 of them. And it was all done with all the the reverses and all the obverses and reverses and all the combinations that exist. So it's not super rare. So getting one was important. This one has an especially nice reverse. The obverse is not great, right? You can read the name. It's got the picture. It says imp, but on the lower left side, it's kind of mushy and you can't really read it. But great portrait, but the reverse is what you do when you display this coin. You display it with the Eid Mar up.
The money side.
The money
It's
side.
easy to see it. It's got the full beading all the way around. The daggers are clear and clean. The hat, the cap is clean. Nice big flan. It's really great. That's a really great Eid Mar coin, and a great story too.
Was there a reason you didn't go after the gold hold one? I assume because it was damaged.
Oh yeah. That's and it's terrible. I mean, the hole is terrible, right? I mean, you could have bad holes. That one is just like somebody assassinated it. I don't know.
Well, my client owns it.
I couldn't do it. And I don't need every coin to be pretty and perfect, but yeah.
Well, if you need the Aureas to be pretty and perfect, we know where it is.
Okay.
So, also the Titus Colosseum Sestertius.
Right.
What made you pursue this particular example over others on the market?
Right. Well, the other side is no winner. That's not why you buy it. You buy it for the Colosseum side. That's what it's there for. But it's interesting. to ordinary people. So there's various people who look at the collection. Some of them are, dealers and whatever, and they're looking for, the interesting, exciting ones. There's collectors who wish they could have one. There's your mother-in-law who looks at them and just, what are you doing? Why are you spending money on this stuff? This one is one of the talking points. This is the Colosseum on day one from a drone. It's a drone view of the Colosseum, fully completed all the way to the top, not a ruin. The emperor is right in the middle of the coin. The emperor's box is there. So I sort of asked people, well, how did they do this? Right? They didn't have drones. They didn't have airplanes. They didn't have gliders. How did somebody make an aerial view of the Colosseum when in 80 AD? Most people can't figure it out. So that's interesting. And the Colosseum, everybody, I mean, what's the primary reference of Rome? Is the Colosseum, right? I mean, it's not the Tiber River, who cares, right? It's the Colosseum. That's the big deal. Still is today. And this is a coin contemporaneous. That's something that's important in my mind. You have a contemporaneous representation of something. If somebody died 50 years ago, you don't know what they looked like. Maybe somebody did a statue of them, but they didn't have books and paper and stuff like that in those days. So this is how they did it. They made coins, medals, images so we could see what they really looked like. So this is what it really looked like.
Okay, so on Tyrants of the Tiber, two coins that I love in particular is the Augustus Aureus with the Myron bull on the reverse, and this beautiful Otho Aureus, which probably looks like a Bosco Reale hoard. That red tint usually is from the Pompeii eruption. So what can you tell us about these two coins?
Well, the odd thing about Augustus, he went on his coins. He made coins. He ruled for a long time. I don't remember how many years, 30 years or plus. His pictures on those coins are not a person. They're an abstraction. They do not appear to be a portrait of a real human being. They're stylized. This is a real person, and you can. This picture of Augustus here is probably still tight. Yeah, he's Augustus. That's what it says. They're beautiful coins, full beating on both sides, which is really rare. The bull is great. The name is clear. You can see the legends perfectly. But the portrait, there's just nothing like it. I don't know of another portrait in the Roman, the Roman series, because it is. I mean, just look at the hair and the face and the nose and the ear, and it's just real. That's what a person looks like. Even you look at the Otho on the other side. I don't think he looked quite like that, right? It's just not quite a human being's appearance. It's a bit stylized. And that's just, when I saw that coin, I just said, that's amazing, right? I've not seen another one like it. Yeah, the Otho is very rare. It's very hard to get an Otho in something approximating mint state. But this one came from the Bosco Reale hoard. The owner of this coin in 79 AD, I believe, is when he was living near Mount Vesuvius. Mount Vesuvius went off. He gathered together his fortune, which was like 1,000 gold coins in a leather sack, and looked for cover. He didn't know where to go. So he hid in a well of some sort, and it got filled up with ash, and he died. And it was 1895. Some people were digging around, and they broke through, and they found this guy, and they found 1,000 coins. This guy was probably getting his new coins from the mint. That most of his coins seemed to be, high quality mint state. Most of them were minted in that years of 69 to 79. So this is just a random. He just happened to have an Otho. Which was a 10-year-old coin at the time, and that's where that came from. And you got that nice red coloring, which is what typically indicates that it's a Bosco Reale coin.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so now we're coming to what you're going to be publishing here soon at the ANA, the Tyrants of the Golden Horn. Two amazing coins in this grouping is you have the Mezezius Solidus, And then you actually have the end of the Romans or the Byzantine Empire, Constantine XI. What can you tell us about these two coins?
Well, the Mezezius coin, so it's very rare. That they're very rare. It was on my list as a would like to get, but not on a must-have, because he's kind of a usurper, but in some ways not. I mean, when Constantine II was murdered, he was there, in the vicinity, and he was chosen by the troops as the new emperor. But the old emperor's son, which was some other place, I don't know, didn't like that idea and said no, and he raised his own army and came and knocked this guy out. But so he was only around for about a year or so. He can be called a usurper. So under my definition, I didn't need this coin. I didn't have to have it, but it was on my list as he did rule for a fair amount of time. And I thought, well, and it's super rare, I'll probably just have to get something I won't be happy with, but maybe then I won't buy it. I'll just say I don't need it. But this thing came along. I said, oh my goodness, wait, super rare. And the one that I get, the first chance I get to buy one this is graded by PCGS as MS66. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
And so it did that whole, also I do have another collection, a Syracuse collection. And this guy's also fits into that collection. This is minted in Syracuse. So I had a double use for him. Just the quality and the super rarity of that coin coming together at the same time.
So this was a coin that, as you found it, even if it didn't necessarily fit, you were going to shoehorn it in.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't think it isn't. This isn't needed to be shoehorned in. I mean, it's a really nice coin.
Right.
It's super nice. Yeah, the Constantine XI. He's the last ruler. He was holding out. The Turks were completely surrounding Constantinople. The water, the land, everything. All they had were their walls and hiding inside their walls. And then the Turkish Sultan got his cannons, which, by the way, were sold to him by a Byzantine guy who took it to the emperor and Byzantine emperor and said, "I've got this new thing called a cannon, and it'd be a really cool weapon. You can knock down walls with it." And the Byzantines passed, apparently, said, "Yeah, thanks, but no thanks." So he went over to the Turks, and they said, "Sure, we'll give it a try." And they knocked down all the walls of Constantinople and seized the city in 1453. I have a general theory about dynasties and power. And you find a country that's making bronze coins. That's all they've got. They've got no silver coins. That's all they have. They're poor. Then you get to a place where you have silver. So like Roman Republic comes along. So in Rome, that's like pre 220, 230. They're just carrying on bars of iron and copper and whatever. They didn't have real money. But then they graduated up to a real silver currency through the whole Republican period. And then we got into gold. When they got into the empire, they started building gold and they made really beautiful gold coins and awesome coins. And then, all the way through the Byzantine Empire up to there, they were still making really nice, pretty nice coins, but they were definitely of lower quality. But they dropped in quality. And when we get to the end, here's what we get. We get this coin. It's the best I've seen. I think it's like a VF35 or something like that from PCGS. But you can see weakness. There's weakness on the top and the bottom. The legends, some of the legends are readable, but many of them aren't. There's cut off. Some are cut off the top. There's a lot of things to say negative about this coin, but you got to have it. I mean, the last Byzantine Empire, and it shows my thesis. They were desperate, right? They were desperate. They couldn't make beautiful coins.
And what's interesting about this coin, so I don't know if you realize this or not, but Simon Bendel actually published these back in the 90s when they were first discovered, and my father Harlan actually handled the whole hoard at the time, and published them with Simon. So this coin probably came through him at one point.
Yeah, this came in an auction, I think, in Europe. I don't remember offhand.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
And I would assume with this coin that because it's silver, there is no version in gold.
No, this is the best I've ever seen. I mean, this silver coin, with this low manufacturing quality and considerable wear is the best I've seen.
It's definitely for sure up there as the finest, no doubt.
So even though this is a show about ancient coins, I still have a lot of my background in the U.S. And I have to ask you, I could not interview without asking you about the King of Siam set.
Yep.
Can you tell me about this set? Why did you feel like you needed to own it? And what can you tell us about it?
Well, I needed the die variety.
Crosslet 4?
Yeah. So I have a collection. In fact, the only complete collection, as far as we know, the only ever complete collection of U.S. $10 coins, these straight bust coins by die variety. There's 33 die varieties. That's one of my earliest sets in the U.S. coins. And that's a really tough sequence because most of them, or several of the dates are not even dates, die varieties have populations on the order of 5. 6, 7, whatever, we don't know exactly. The coin in the upper right is a $10 US 1804 proof. That's a proof 64 cameo. But there's only 3 of these coins known. There's only 3 of this die variety known. It was in the Bass collection and recently sold when the Bass collection, the final Bass sales came up. Another one is in the market, and it's a 65 cameo, maybe it's even a deep cameo. I don't know. I've not seen it myself, but people like JD have seen it. And then there's this one. So if you want a complete die variety set of early $10 gold coins, you either need to go with the Bass coin, which was at the time unavailable. It sold 20 years later it did sell, but you couldn't get it then. You could bid for the other one, which is, in my view, that coin is the best coin and the best US coin. This is a beautiful coin. This 64 cameo is beautiful. I'm told the other one's better. You could try to get that one, which is $5 million. I don't know, something like that. So getting that
also doesn't belong to this set.
What?
Which has its own provenance.
Well, I'm telling you the story that mattered to me. Everybody else doesn't think that way because nobody else is building a die variety set of early 10s. You basically think this is a population 3 coin. And so I was trying to figure that out. The whole set there's an enormous story. It would take hours to tell the whole story. In fact, there's books on the subject. But the set it's an 1843 proof set. There's all the coins made from 1843 are there. No, sorry, 34. I said 43. 1834 set. President Andrew Jackson instructed the mint to make 4 sets of coins of the current, I don't remember the exact wording, but of the currently circulating coins of the United States as diplomatic gifts. And there were 4 of them. One was to go to the Sultan of Oman, one was to go to the King of Siam, one was to go to the Emperor of Vietnam, and one was to go to the Emperor of Japan, and on a diplomatic mission. That was he was going to give this set to each of the potentates he met along the way. So they made up this set. But when they made up the set, the problem was that the United States Mint had not been making a $1 or $10 coin since 1804. They looked at the records. This is 1834. So 30 years later, they're saying, well, what? And we know about the coins we're minting, or they were minting, but they weren't minting. There were no $1 or $10 coins minted. The mint decided not to do it because they were unprofitable. They actually cost more to make than they were worth. And so in 1804, they stopped making those 2 coins. So they said, what should we do? And they could have made an 1834 dollar and an 1834 $10 coin. But that wouldn't be representative of the coins because there were no such things. They'd be making a novelty, a thing that doesn't actually exist. And he was asking for the coins that circulate. So they looked at the mint records and said, well, well, when was the last time we made a dollar coin? And they said, oh, that was 1804. And they looked at the records for the $10 coin, and they said, when was the last time we made a $10 coin? It's the same year, 1804. So they said, that's what we'll do. We'll make this set of the current, $5 coin and quarter eagle coin and $half and dollar and dime and whatever. We'll make those coins with the current date, 1834. But the two other coins we'll put in there, the dollar, we'll put an 1804 date on it because that's representative of the 1804 dollars. It could still be in circulation, or the 1804 $10. But they made a mistake. It turned out they actually did not make any coins in 1804. And so they did just make a novelty coin. They made a new coin that didn't exist before and was not in any series. And that's how the 1804 dollars came into existence. Nobody knew this in 1960. 1804 dollars had been a thing and important, like almost always the most expensive coin was almost always an 1804 dollar. And yet no one knew where they actually came from. They couldn't figure it out. Nobody knew. One guy, I think Stickney, got his from the mint. He got a book from the mint in 1843, I believe, showing coins in the mint with pictures. And he looked through it and he said, wow, there's an 1804 dollar. I collect dollars. I've never seen an 1804 dollar. So he went to the mint and said, can I get your 1804 dollar? I'd like to buy it. They actually had two, so they sold him one. That's how he got his 1804 dollar. Where everybody else got their 1804 dollars, nobody knows, but there's several of them. But no one knows where they came from. Like, why did they make them? Who made them? Well, when the set was found in 1960 or thereabouts, and it was found and it was discovered in England by Spink. Spink, I think. They figured out what it was, and this is it. This is the first proof set made by the United States Mint. This was the first proof set that was made. It was made for diplomatic purposes. These are not late night knockoffs, like Liberty Nickels or something like that, that they're never officially produced. These were officially produced under presidential order. So they're not mint fantasies. They're the real deal. They were made by the mint and ordered from the president. So that legitimizes them. People wondered if the 1804 dollars were just something the mint manufactured to sell to collectors. But we now know that they weren't. We now know where they were. They were in these boxes. This box was found intact with the box. It still it's a box, not just some coins. And there's also a ship's log. The log of the ship that took it there is also part of that item. So you have the complete set. It also explained where did the 1804 proof dollars come from, or proof $10 come from, and from this box. We have three of them. So obviously one was lost. One of the 1804 $10 proof is lost. The 1804 dollars, somehow there are 8 of them. I think maybe 8 of them. There were 4 boxes made. We know that made 4 of them. Where'd the other 4 come from? Maybe the mint made a few extras and put them in their cabinet or something and sold them off over the years. We don't know. But this is really iconic. It's the earliest proof set in the United States. It proved the origin and legitimacy of the 1804 dollars and the origin and legitimacy of the 1804 proof $10 coins. It's a nice set, and I think it is the most important numismatic item in the world.
Well, thanks for indulging me on that and taking that little detour into U.S. coins. But back to ancients for a second. Is there an ancient coin that has gotten away from your grasp? Is there one you've chased for years?
I guess the Ptolemy IV Octadrachm was one.
Yeah.
Is there any others?
Well, it's funny / sad story that you talked about the Eid Mar aureus with the hole in it. There is an Eid Mar aureus. There is another Eid Mar hole which doesn't have a hole in it.
Correct.
One of them in a museum in Germany, apparently. But there's another one. And I was offered this privately a few years ago. And all sorts of questions came up about, should we buy it? Where's it from? Do we believe the provenance? did somebody just manufacture it? Right? Is it a modern manufacturer? Is it an ancient manufacturer? Like lots and lots of questions. We had die varieties. They had the full die variety set. Its die variety is identified. It's actually the same as the one that mine is. It's the same die variety as mine. So it's not like they made up a new die variety. So if they made a fake, they went to a lot of trouble to duplicate it down to the die variety level. And we spent weeks on that, like 6 weeks on that. I got everybody I could find to come in and say, do we buy this or not? And after about 6 weeks, a consensus was reached that we're not going to do it. We're not going to buy it. We just can't be sure. There's so many ways it could go. It could be wrong. And that would have been the highlight of the Roman collection. But then on the good and bad side of it, it went to auction, sold for more than $4 million, as I recall.
4.2.
And then the FBI seized it. And I'm sure glad I wasn't the one they seized it from.
Believe it or not, I was the underbidder.
So,
and I'm glad my client and I are glad we didn't buy it either.
Dodge a bullet. That's what that's called.
For sure. So I notice now PCGS is moving into slabbing of ancients, and you're having the golden horn is slabbed by them. Was there a reason why you went with PCGS this time around?
Well, we've used PCGS for all the earlier ones, but the early Roman and the early Greek coins were not slabbed. A few of them were, just because I bought them in a slab, but I didn't actively slab those coins. But all the U.S. coins were done through PCGS, and they are introducing their new program, and so that's interesting to be involved in. And it's this is a publicity event that on both parts. I want people to know about the Tyrant Collection. Many people in the numismatic community because we've done 10 shows, I think 9 or 10 displays over the last 7 or 8 years. But there's still a whole bunch of collections that I haven't published yet. So we'll be continuing that.
Is there any advice that you would offer to somebody starting an ancient coin collection that may not have your means or budget?
Well, it applies to me as well. You need to decide what you're collecting and why you're collecting it, and you need a theme. Otherwise, you could just say, I just buy stuff I like, and that's fine. You just like those things. That's not me, right? It tends not to be me. I'm an organized mathematical kind of person. I like things in a row and series of things. But if you're collecting a series, you should buy the most expensive coin first. Because first you got to find out how much it's going to cost you. That is, and if it goes over your head, if you're sitting there saying this is the one I got to have, and you just can't buy it, you're going to be unhappy. But the most unhappy thing is to build a collection, spend a lot of time and effort and money on it, and having a big giant hole right in the middle of it for that most expensive, most difficult coin. And you could just pay whatever it takes. Just let them just take advantage of you and pay the price. But you might not see it. You might not ever get a chance to buy it because somebody slips it in behind you. It gets traded on the floor on day -1 of the show. So you don't have an opportunity for it. But once you buy the most expensive, rarest coin of a series, you'll say the rest is downhill, right? The rest isn't that hard because I did the hardest thing first and I succeeded at it. Now, I did that with those early 10 coins I was talking about. I bought the most expensive. I bought that most expensive one before I made the commitment, and it's a 3 known. Who knew that the 1799 Tarasca coin, 20 is that? I think it's the 20, but it was known. Before I did that, I went out and researched all the auction records, make sure that there were no varieties that didn't show up, right? For like a 10-year period, did every variety I needed show up at least once or twice at auction? Because in this case, there was this particular variety that I waited 10 years. I have everything done except for this one, but it wasn't the one it wasn't even, not only that, it wasn't even the second, it was the third highest, rarest, we thought. We now know it's much more rare than we thought. And the most bizarre thing of all is I would have bought anything. I would have bought one with a hole in it, that'd been run over by a truck, because I had this collection and it needed to be completed. And one day I opened up a Stack's Bowers, they send these things around, the auction, upcoming auction. Here's some highlights, look at this. I'm walking down the list and whoa, that's the one I need. PCGS MS65.
Wow.
Oh, God. It's one of the highest grade coins in the whole set. And you never see them. I mean, JD told me a story. The funny part of the story, there's two different coins. There's two different die varieties, same obverse, but different reverse. The one with the common obverse is one of the most common 1799 coins. But the one with the rare reverse is one of the rarest. But everybody displays your trait bus coins head up. He said, I can't imagine how many I turned over, right? You go to the dealers, say, oh, you're selling, and you can't know until you pick it up and look at the other side as to whether it's the die variety. You picked up 1,000 coins, and it was always the common one, which is not too surprising. But then it comes out in an auction in 65. I'm just blown away, and I bought it. And I didn't pay a lot more than a 65 of any other of that date or nearby date would have cost. I basically bought it for, quote, common. It's not really common, but for that series, that's common. And I didn't have to accept a low grade coin for that. That was weird. It was quite exhilarating, actually.
So what is displaying at the World's Fair of Money, the A&A, mean to you versus keeping pieces private?
Well, I made that decision a long time ago, even before I decided to reveal who I was, right? I just did it under my pseudonym. And we did displays. I was actually at those shows. I showed up at those shows and wandered around and looked at the exhibit. But if you have a collection like this is Golden Horn, this is 300 AD, actually 280 something AD is the earliest coin, it goes up to the 20th century, 200 and some coins. How do you appreciate that? You can't, you can put it in boxes, in coin boxes and walk through them, click, 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 one at a time if you want. Not great. You can do something which I do from time to time, which is pull each coin out and look at it and look at the other side and remember, why did I buy this, or what's neat about this, and put it back and take the next one out and do it again. But then I don't remember all the details, because 200 coins I bought 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. I can't remember all of them. I can remember the important ones, but many of the less important ones still are in one way or another important or significant. So I said, well, I need to spread them out. I want to see them next to each other and look at this. What am I going to do? I could set up a display in my office. I could set aside a room or something, but that's a 30 by 30 foot booth. We filled it 8 times and we're not done yet. That would be huge.
Right.
Just display area. How do I, and so then I started thinking, well, I just put them in safe deposit boxes, and every now and then I get them out and look at them. Well, I don't know. I just sort of, something's wrong here. I worked with Ira on this. We sat around and said, what could we do? He said, well, they usually had a table at the show. We could put out, 10 or 20 coins on a show. And I said, yeah, but at that rate, it'd take us about a century to get through the collection, right? We could show highlights, right? We could just pick out the top 10 coins of a collection and show it. But then I didn't show the collection. I showed 10 interesting coins from a series, but that doesn't show a collection. How do I show a collection? I need to show the collection. All the coins have to be there. How do I get to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 coins in my lifetime? Well, you got to show them hundreds at a time. So the booth is capable of doing, I think, 400 coins. So, and we were doing them at Long Beach 3 times a year. and Long Beach kind of cratered and whatever.
Right.
Now we're doing them at A. Now we're doing them at A&A. We may do them other places as well, but it was just somebody other than me had to see them, or it just seems kind of silly that you just bury them in a bank vault somewhere.
That's just hoarding.
So
Yeah. And I can
that-
tell you that our listeners, as well as anybody who's ever seen those displays at A&A's, thank you for doing that.
Yes,
because
I
it's
can tell you from
amazing thing
pers-
to be able to view, and most people don't get a chance to see those types of coins.
Yeah, I can tell you from personal experience, having seen them at shows, not knowing who they belonged to, they were a learning tool for me.
Absolutely.
And I've hoped, without success yet, to convince some other people to do it, who have awesome collections that no one gets to see. No one ever gets to see them. But I haven't found anybody else. I mean, they'll do the 10 thing, right? They'll show out some of their 10 highlights on a dealer table somewhere or in a display somewhere. But that's not the same thing as showing people these collections that we see them. They come out and they get sold. That's the first time we've seen them. There's the Brune collection. Those are Scandinavian coins. I have a Scandinavian collection. I've always thought it rather poor. It's not very good. And I always disappointed and say, it's got to be some way to do this better. And then this collection comes out 100 years. It's been buried for 100 years. And it's got like 2 known, 1 known, finest known, 3 known, just coin after coin after coin after coin after coin is a rarity. And many of them are nice, big gold coins and nice silver coins. And I bought a bunch. I haven't displayed that yet. And I'm not sure, I'm not ready yet to do that collection, but people could have seen that. But, and the same thing for dozens of other collections. Maybe you get to see them when they get sold, but you don't get to see them any other time.
So, so what's next? Are you still adding to the collection? Do you ever think you'd ever sell the collection, or are you going to donate the collection? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't plan to sell the collection while I'm alive. I could. It is in part a financial reserve if I needed the money for the business to do something, and perhaps there's an investment worthy of it, but I don't think so. The coins have done very well from 20-ish years ago. Large English gold coins are going for a fortune. They were almost ignored for a long time. And Roman coins have gone up a lot. It is a good investment, period, I think. They are a rare commodity, an interesting commodity that people can, and you can see them and they're nice. They're also artistic and they have a story and history, and all those things are very, very good. But so I have no interest in selling it, no plan to sell it. I don't know what my heirs will do. I can't control that. And so that may happen, but I'm still collecting. I'm collecting actively. I'm involved in, I do an auction every month pretty much, or sometimes 2 and more. And, including in, all over the world, mostly Europe and Asia, just a few things, but I have plenty of collections which need a lot of help, that need a lot of work. And there's always ways to improve, always new stuff coming up that I've not seen before in new auctions, and every now and then buying a full collection, but that's not my primary mode of operation.
So you're one of these collectors who will give it up when you're done, which is never.
Yeah, like I say, I don't have a plan. I don't have a need. I don't have a plan. But it is also a financial cushion, right? If things went badly, if things turned really, really poor, it's a movable commodity. It's relatively high value per weight. It's not like diamonds, but if something bad happens, war, famine, COVID. There's a store there of reasonably liquidatable assets, right? They're not like gold that you can liquidate on a daily basis, but if you're willing to take a hit, you can probably liquidate it very quickly to somebody who knows that they can get 50% more if they wait, 6 months or a year and do it. Don't just dump it on the market, in one day. So I think it also provides those hedges.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming to us. Once known only as the Tyrant, now he is known to all of us. dano'dowd is the owner of the Tyrant Collection. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ancient Coin Podcast.
All right, good to be here and spread the word.
Will do. Now that was an absolutely amazing interview. I learned stuff just being here. It wasn't even him answering my questions as much as some of the neat stuff that he did. So that's something that you don't get to see every day.
No, and what I really enjoyed is in doing this whole process, that I learned I had connections with him on certain coins that I really had no clue until I really got into it. So that was kind of fun. And talking about like the gold Eid Mar and stuff like that was really, really, really cool. So yes,
why he chose not to include one.
He doesn't want to hold one, but he also was offered the tainted one 2 years before. Yep. And that's actually what got Roma in trouble, is that a lot of these guys were offered this coin 2 years before without a pedigree. So, it wasn't smart that he faked a pedigree. In fact, that's what usually gets guys or companies to go down, is the ones that fake pedigrees. It's better to always tell the truth in this business and not to lie, especially on pedigree.
It's so much better to just say, I don't know, or it's incomplete, than to make something up that sounds right, because it's going to come out eventually.
Right.
Always does.
So, and I don't think we've ever heard from somebody who was offered that before it went to sale. Yeah. So, which is pretty cool to hear the process of that. And I was the underbidder on the coin, so I was glad I didn't buy it either. But, it was it was interesting, to say the least, as well as all the other coins that he showed. And I think that, again, it's really cool that Dan allows us to be able to see these things at ANAs. Normally, the only time you get to see these types of coins is when they come up for auction, and then you don't see them again for another 10 or 20 years plus. So it's really a credit to him and his collecting, and the fact that he shows these things and shares it with the rest of us. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So as far as the contest goes, if you've waited around this long, hopefully you have, and if you fast forwarded through it,
shame on you.
Shame on you. So anyway, first prize, which is a $250 gift certificate to Harlan J. Berk Limited. It cannot be for a bullion item. It has to be for a collectible coin, a book, whatever it is. It's going to go to Edward Anderson. His call name is Edward Anderson 723. So if any of you guys are announced, just reach out to Mike or me, and we'll get your address and get the stuff sent to you.
Mike N at hjbltd.com.
Yes. And then second place is White Friar. Love these names. He is at White Friar Nerd.
Okay.
He's going to get a hat or a shirt.
His choice.
Your choice. Okay. Third place, going to go to Jordan Evans. His call name is Jordan Evans 8853. He's going to get a shirt. And fourth place, who's also going to get a shirt, is the person who had the most thumbs up.
And that was a lot.
He had 57 thumbs up on his comment. His comment was, it'll be funny watching people cross their NGC AU Ancients coins over to PCGS, hoping they somehow come back as MS65s. So kind of funny too, as well. So, and that's going to Moo _oo, LO, and he is MO _ ANS. Maybe he works at ANS.
Maybe he does.
So anyway, congratulations to the winners. Thanks for all that made comments. You should always make comments anyway, but every once in a while we like to reward you.
And you never know. There's sometimes secret contests. I do that a lot on the Coin Show podcast. Yeah. So exactly. Thank you to everybody who participated, who commented, who had something, to say. You're the reason why we do this. So we really do like hearing your feedback.
Absolutely. And thanks for, this is a different format for this show, and it's nice to have change every once in a while. I don't always like to do interviews, and so it only makes sense to do an interview if it's of something or someone of substance. And
Yes.
so in this case,
This was
that.
definitely substance.
So, so I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and we'll be back to our next show, 84, with the regular format that we typically do.
Yeah,
Thanks again.
We just did this for 83. So thank you to everybody who helps put this together. Thanks to Ian, our producer, and thank you to you who listen, because you're the reason why we do this. We will see you in 2 weeks on episode 84 of the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk.
Thanks for listening to the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk. We'll return with another episode soon. Meantime, you can join our private group on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and search the Groups tab for Ancient Coin Podcast Discussion Group and ask to join. There you can become part of our community, where we share and discuss ancient coins as well as the show, the ancient coin market, auctions, or just to give our own opinions on things in order to learn together. Please also share and promote the show on YouTube, where all of our videos are housed. Join Aaron and Mike again soon for the next episode of the Ancient Coin Podcast with Aaron Berk.